It really is, Presiding Officer, impossible to overstate the importance of vaccination in getting us safely through this phase and safely through the winter months ahead. By getting vaccinated, we help keep ourselves and others safe, but the reverse of that is equally true. Not getting vaccinated, if you are eligible, puts yourself and others at greater risk, and it makes it less likely that we can make it through the winter without having to reintroduce some restrictions. So to everyone out there who hasn't already had their jags, please do your civic duty. Please get vaccinated now for your own sake and for all of us. Presiding Officer, the final issue I want to address is vaccine certification. That, of course, is where entry to some venues is dependent on people being able to show that they have been fully vaccinated. In recent months, there has been a lot of discussion about vaccine certification, and as I have indicated before, the Government has been considering very carefully whether, notwithstanding the understandable equity and ethical concerns, vaccine certification could, in some settings, help protect public health, reduce the necessity for any further restrictions, and also, of course, boost vaccine take-up. The Scottish Government has made it clear that we do not believe that vaccine certification should ever be a requirement for any key services or in settings where people have no choice over attendance. For example, public transport, education, access to health services or shops, and we continue to hold very firmly to that position. But we do consider that a limited use of vaccine certification could help to control the spread of the virus as we head into the autumn and winter. For any decision of this nature to have an impact before winter, we would have to take and implement it quickly. However, I recognise that it is a significant decision, so in my view, it should be expressly authorised by Parliament. I therefore propose, subject, Presiding Officer, to your agreement, that we have a full debate and vote on this matter next week. To help prepare for that, I will set out now what the Government, after much consideration, has concluded would be appropriate. We propose, subject to parliamentary agreement, that vaccination certification should be introduced later this month once all adults have had the opportunity to be fully vaccinated for the following events and venues. Firstly, nightclubs and adult entertainment venues. Second, unseated indoor live events with more than 500 people in the audience. Next, unseated outdoor live events with more than 4,000 people in the audience. And lastly, any event of any nature which has more than 10,000 people in attendance. We don't currently consider it appropriate to introduce certification for the hospitality industry as a whole, and we hope that will not be necessary. However, we will keep that under review. We're also very aware of the need to take account of people who, for good reason, cannot get fully vaccinated with both doses of vaccine. So, for example, we envisage that children and people with particular medical conditions would be exempt. However, we consider that to help protect individuals and the country as a whole and reduce the risk of further restrictions being necessary, those over 18 who are eligible for vaccination should be required to show that they have received both doses before entry to the premises and events that I mentioned. It is already possible to request that a paper copy of your vaccination record be posted to you to allow you to travel. However, from this Friday onwards, well in advance of any certification scheme coming into operation, we will also provide a QR code. That means you'll be able to download a copy of vaccination record to keep on a phone or print off. The introduction of COVID vaccine certificates, even in the limited circumstances that I have set out above, is a significant move and not one we would ever take lightly. That's why I believe it should have parliamentary approval in advance. But it is worth stressing that although we have had to weigh this decision carefully, we would be in no way unique in taking this step. The UK Government has announced an intention to introduce certification for England, and several European countries, including France, Italy and Ireland, have already introduced certification. In fact, the certification rules in several other countries cover a far wider range of venues than the ones we are currently considering for Scotland.